Why can't I go?
Because your place is here with the rest of us.
You let Mars travel.
That's his job, until mankind learns to dispense with his services and lives in peace. Mars must go where he's called.
I only want to browse around.
You'd only get into trouble.
I have been here thousands of years. I am bored.
Don't interrupt your father. It may not be entirely without merit, but you wouldn't like it down there.
Let me be the judge of that. I am tired of the same old faces. The same old things.
Tired or not, you're staying here.
He's only a demigod. He gives himself airs his mortal birth does not warrant.
My mother may have been a mortal, but you, Zeus, my father, are gods.
I will discuss this no further.
Does this mean I have Zeus's permission to leave?
It means you will stay, and I don't wish to hear another word on the subject.
I won't stay.
You are trying my patience, Hercules.
You are trying mine.
Heed my words.
Nobody will stop me.
How dare you address such remarks to your father?
It's easy.
Why, you offensive puppy. Perhaps this will teach you respect for your elders?
Warning. This show is intended for a mature audience only and may contain harsh language, sexual references, and derogatory terms. Listener discretion is advised.
Well, what do we have here? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dreamers of any age in particular, and I'm going to phrase it like that just so I don't get taken down for copyright on the very first couple of minutes of this this show. Hello everyone and welcome back to Terrible Tuesday Movie Night. I, in my life, wouldn't have believed those words would be coming out of my mouth, but here we are. Welcome to the brand new rebooted Season 2 of Terrible Tuesday Movie Night, watching bad movies so you don't have to. This is episode 1 of Season 2. I am your master of ceremonies, movie wrangler extraordinaire, Dale Campbell. Thank you so much for joining me. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you so much, old fans, for coming back. New fans, welcome to the fold. If you've come here from the YouTube channel or from any of my social media platforms, thank you so much for joining me. It is a pleasure as always. Yes, for those of you who don't know or are returning, this is Terrible Tuesday Movie Night, a podcast that I used to do on the Geek.io Media Network that I have recently acquired back from. I've taken control. I went independent in July of 2020, I believe, or 2021, July of 2021-ish TM. I started a YouTube channel and I am now doing reboots of podcasts, and Terrible Tuesday Movie Night is on that list. We are going to give it another go. We have 12 episodes planned for this season, with even worse movies than ever before. I'm looking at this list and there are some stinkers on this list that we wanted to do when Terrible Tuesday Movie Night was originally in its heyday, but just couldn't get access to. So we are back. We are doing more things than ever before. We will even have some special guests appear on this season of Terrible Tuesday Movie Night. Some old favourites and some new peeps on this show as well for you to enjoy. So enough of the formalities. Pleasure to be back. Again, we have an entire season of 12 episodes planned for you, spread over the next 12 weeks. We are back. We are pre-recording these, just full disclaimer. So thank you so much for sticking by me. We are watching the movies and then recording the episodes, so that's how we're doing it. This week, I thought of no better movie to kick off Season 2 than another Hercules movies. There is a plethora of Hercules movies. Today, we are diving in to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Hercules in New York. That's right. Arnold flippin' Schwarzenegger playing Hercules. This is gonna get good. We're gonna, of course, bring back our audio trailer on a video trailer on an audio podcast. Here I am stumbling all over that. We'll be right back right after that with our thoughts on Hercules in New York.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've seen him pumping iron as Conan the Barbarian. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mighty, magnificent, and muscular as never before. Arnold Schwarzenegger in his most unexpected adventure. Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming your way on a comet from out of the sky. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Magnificent as Hercules. The story begins quietly enough. High atop fabled Mount Olympus, Hercules annoys Zeus just once too often with his need for adventure.
I'm tired of the same old faces, the same old things.
Things soon heat up for our hero. Hercules finds himself in the midst of a monumental workout. You won't believe your eyes.
Doesn't even look like me. Look.
What are you doing? Oh, wow! I really wish you'd put
Does
your
it?
shirt back on. You see,
Hercules' muscles bring him fame and fortune. But Zeus is not so pleased with his son making a spectacle of himself. Neither are some local hoods who lost a bet on Hercules. And the chase is on. Arnold Schwarzenegger, superstar, super muscles, superhero. He's totally awesome. Hercules is coming your way.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the fine works of Hercules in New York. That's right. What a movie. The trailer sets it up to be this grand, spectacular movie, but then you realize it's well over an hour and a half long, and yeah, there you go. It doesn't need to be an hour and a half long, but we'll get into that. This season, of course, as I've become more professional, not only with the sound of this podcast, by the way, I hope you enjoy the sound of this podcast, but I have notes. I have 2 pages of notes for Hercules in New York. That's right, I took notes. I'm a good little astute student these days, so we'll get to those a little bit later on in the rant and review portion. This movie released February 25th, 1970. It is directed by Arthur Swillerman. The bad pronunciations are back. It is his first ever movie. Same with the aforementioned Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays Hercules. By the way, we have a Terrible Tuesday movie night connection. Woo! These barely happen these days. When they barely happened in the old season, but we got a few of Terrible Tuesday movie nights. As the more we do Terrible Tuesday movie night, this is the 40th movie overall that we've done. We're going to start to see connections. So there you go. Jingle All the Way, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger was in that movie as well. We reviewed that. Arnold Stagg plays Pretzi. Deborah Lamois plays Helen Carmen. James Karen plays Professor Carmen. Ernst Graves plays Zeus, and Tenny McDonald plays Juno. The plot of this movie, this is hilarious. This is going to be so fun to read. This is going to be such a fun movie. After many centuries, Hercules gets bored of living in Olympus, home of the great Greek gods, and decides to move to New York, of all places. You know, the metropolis that was New York in 1970. But obviously, it's not easy for a man who lived in ancient Greece to get used to modern life. So things get tricky, especially when Jesus sends a few gods to bring this semi-god back to Mount Olympus. Oh boy, the plot even sounds as good as the movie. Okay, full disclaimer, I don't hate this movie. Now, the only other reason why we picked this movie to be the first of the reboots is because I've done a Hercules movie. I did The Legend of Hercules back in the day, and I will say that this movie is significantly better than that movie. This movie is a bunch of goofy fun. Like, it is just... It's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, and as a critic, I have to take down a movie for that. But my God, this movie is, if you turn your mind off, it is such a goof, which is perfect for a Hercules movie. The Hercules movies that don't take themselves seriously are the ones that I think that I enjoy the most, particularly. The fact that this is not a Disney Hercules as well, it makes it even the more, raw, I guess? I don't know. But also, the Disney Hercules didn't come until much later, so there you go. Sorry, taking a drink of water. Now, also, fun fact about this movie, there was a dubbed version versus a non-dubbed version. Now, of course, we watched the non-dubbed Arnold Schwarzenegger version. They re-recorded all of Arnold Schwarzenegger movie for radio plays of this movie, which this is a whole another realm of movie possibilities. The fact that this was played in 1970 on the radio, by the way. That's such a riveting concept to me. But we watched the non-dubbed version. Now, apparently the dubbed version has some really bizarre dubbing in it by another actor. I don't think I would have enjoyed the dubbed version more, because there's something about Arnold Schwarzenegger's delivery in all of this that kind of makes this movie as unique as it is. There's the fact that also in this movie, no one is ever kind to Arnold Schwarzenegger just as a person. I know that that's the whole point, but I think that you need to be a little bit more sympathetic to Hercules. The fact that people were not treating Arnold Schwarzenegger nice is a whole nother story. They were cutting him off. They weren't letting him finishing his lines. It was just, this movie is a mess, but we'll get more into that. And it's a 1970s movie when there are credits at the start of the movie. It makes it kind of nice, and the credits weren't even that long because, for reference, not many people worked on this movie, and the fact that this movie didn't really have that much of a budget either. I think it would have... Does it say how much this... it's the fact that it was kind of like, this movie was filmed entirely in New York. They made a very, very big deal about that. But I think this movie had a budget of like $450K. So not much at all for a movie budget. Some random notes that I wrote down. I have 2 pages of notes, so this is going to be a great random review because, I love ranting when it comes to these movies. What was I going to say? Random... I'm just going to read this note verbatim. It makes no sense. Random New York French-looking guy on the dock might be my new favorite person. Later found out that his name is Pretzel, and it's a little on the nose that he sells pretzels. Again, new favorite character of Terrible Tuesday movie night history. I agree. I agree. I agree with myself. This is my note. Pretzel has to be my new favorite character in Terrible Tuesday Movie Night. He is such the buddy cop-like person to Hercules. Just the dynamic of those two is so good. Hercules at the Olympics. I'm surprised that is not a spin-off movie so far. There's a scene where he shows up to a football field in the middle of Central Park. I think it's meant to be in Central Park. They had a taxi scene right before it and go, hey, this is Central Park. There's Central Park. This is Central Park. They say that about 5 times. That's an actual clip from the movie Don't Sue Me. But Hercules at the Olympics, where he shows up and just outdoes all these people at the sports ground. I'm surprised that they haven't made a Hercules at the Olympics movie where he participates in sports and there's some harrowing tales of him outperforming other athletes. That's a good movie. I mean, it's just as good as an idea of him getting transplanted to New York, of all places. This movie... one of the other thought. This movie also, weird. Why pick New York? What was special about New York in 1970? I don't know, but it's such a random idea of a movie. By the way, I like this movie for that. So there you go. Random thought: if they have no money, then where do they get those beautiful suits? Where they get invited back to the house for dinner. It's like, we have no money to pay for this taxi, but we're gonna change scenes and wear this, $500 suits. So there you go. It's like, what the fuck? Where did you get money from? You couldn't pay a $2 taxi fee, but here you are in $500 suits. All the outfits in this movie was actually really good. I'm quite surprised about how good the uniforms, the costumes were in this movie. Again, this movie is not good, but hey, that's one thing for it. What else do I have here on my notes? This is, can we talk about this? We're going to talk about this. I'm just going to read this note verbatim. That is the fakest bear I have ever seen. And for some bizarre reason, it only walks diagonally. Followed up by the next note, which is the best scene is the best acting I have ever seen in a Terrible Tuesday Movie Night sequence of all time. Thus far. Oh my god. And it brings and the third note of the bear scene, which was my funniest thing, this takes bear hugs to a whole new level. That whole bear scene, oh my goodness, that is the best scene ever. So, for no discernible reason, that's the whole point of this movie. This movie is a collection of, for no apparent reason, blank happens, so Hercules has something to do. That is this movie. Hercules does blank to continue the plot, quote unquote, of this movie. He has super strength, and we're going to put him in these bunch of mini games to prove it. Anyway, this bear scene. For no discernible reason, this bear escapes from the Central Park Zoo. Which, does Central Park even have a zoo? Hang on, I have to find this out. Does Central Park have a zoo? Does Central Park have a zoo? Okay. Does Central Park still have a zoo? It does have a zoo. There you go. It is currently closed. It opens from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, and then open till 5:30 during the weekends. Nice. Okay, so it does still have a zoo. That's legit. They use the Central Park Zoo. Interesting. But the fakest bear. That is definitely someone in a bear suit, right? Like, that has to be so weird. And the fact that the bear stands up and you see the outline of a person in that bear suit. It's just the best thing ever. And I'm not even making that up. The hugs from Hercules and the bear. The best acting ever. Not even from Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to take down this bear, but from the girl in the chariot with where's the chariot? But it has no horses. Best line ever. Also, but the fact that The girl, even when she's witnessing the bear attack on Hercules, she just goes, excuse me, that was that was not good acting. Hercules, no, you're gonna get hurt. Oh my god! And then she appears to have passed out, but not really. She passes out with her eyes open, which is fucking weird, if you ask me. Like, what? If you're gonna pass out, please pass out with your eyes closed. No, don't. No one. No one clip that out of context, please. I don't want my life to end. But that whole sequence is just a bunch of fun, you know? Alright, what do we got here? Next up, Arnold Schwarzenegger gets sent down to New York to become a professional wrestler. We get a 10-second wrestling montage, and then we've got to make sure that we assume that, oh no, all of a sudden he's in a weightlifting competition now. What? There's no plot development there. He's a wrestler now. Here's 10 seconds of him wrestling. No one, by the way. He's just prepping to wrestle, but then there's no one on the other side. So, okay, he's a wrestler now. I guess he wrestled a bear in a park. Was that meant to be the hint that Hercules is a professional wrestler? By the way, I do love the references to. Oh, did you see the article in the newspaper? Like, I loved that. Like, can we go back to movies referencing, like, that sort of media? We don't see that these days. Like, it's, people go, I saw this on... Do movies do that? Do they go, I saw this on Facebook or Twitter or something like that? Or do they just not do that? Do they assume that all the characters have knowledge of everything that's going on in the movie at the one time? Don't know. That's just a fascinating question. If anyone knows, please let me know. Let me know in the comments as well if you know that. Next one. The boom mic during the Mercury being sent down to New York to get Hercules to get sent home. That was not noticeable at all. The fact that there's this black boom microphone coming into frame, not noticeable. I noticed it twice, but anyway. I will say the sound on this movie was a little off also. Like, I didn't like the fact that how that kind of sound was kind of like all over the place. Next random note in the rant review section of this movie: Hercules against the monster. Not a real movie, but it should be. There you go. Another Hercules in blank. Hercules against the monster, which was the movie poster that him and, I think her name was Jessica? Helen was her name. Went and saw a poster for where Hercules took his shirt off in front of her for the first time. He's like, oh no, you're indecent. Let me cover you up. Oh, I can't be seen in public like this. That was her character. I get it, but it was no less annoying. But no less annoying. I would watch a movie called that, but I later found out that was an actual edited poster from Gothra versus Godzilla, which was released the year previously. But again, I would see Hercules versus... what's a good fictional monster for Hercules to go up against? You know what it would be? Hercules versus the Loch Ness Monster. Hercules versus Bigfoot based off the bear thing. Yes! Solved. I've solved cinema once again. Welcome back to Terrible Tuesday Movie Night. The audio quality might be better, but the ideas are still as shit. Oh no. Paul Pretzi had to Paul Pretzi is all I wrote down for the next one. Paul Pretzi had to witness the Mercury and had to witness Mercury and all the power that him flying back up to what it would appear to be heaven. Paul Pretzi is what I wrote down for that. Best body count movie ever would be Pretzi and Hercules. I would watch that in a heartbeat. Do you imagine Hercules and Pretzi in a buddy cop movie? That would be so much fun. Except it would be like the final chase scene. You know, the final chase scene was just utterly ridiculous. The chase scene that went on for like 20 minutes and no one won, I suppose, because they both got to the building at pretty much the same time, but no one won in that scene. I mean, Hercules did eventually once they did some really weird flash to Athens. Where are they from? Not Athens. Jesus. Olympus. Blast from Athens. I love that. That's me in a nutshell. I hated everything about that chase scene because it went on for way too long, and they were like, "Oh, we've rented out Central Park for the day, so we may as well just use it." Filmed entirely in New York. I love that. Pluto, remember that planet? I do. I remember the Pluto planet. That was not long ago when it wasn't a planet. Rooting for Hercules. I was always rooting for Hercules in this movie. I think that Hercules was done by in this movie. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger was done well in this. Was undone in this movie. I think from memory, from what I was reading, he actually got signed up for this movie. He didn't sign up for it. He did not know what he was getting into before he got into this movie, and this is what kicked off his movie quote unquote career. But I don't know if there's... I haven't seen any other Arnold... I probably have seen other Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in my time, but I think that it needs to... it needs time to fester. I think because his agent at the time was like, oh yeah, he has a lot of stage presence, but it was misconstrued because what stage presence, quote unquote, stage presence was back then was, you've been in live theatre, because movies were just starting to become more prominent back in the 70s. But no, stage presence was not that, and you can tell. So there you go. But overall, this movie was such a goofy movie. But I originally had a score for this movie that I might change, because while, yeah, I can kind of poke fun at it, and I can kind of, see the holes, and, go for the fact that there are a lot of technical things wrong with it. It was a lot of people's first movies, and going through the IMDb page and comparing the two Legend of Hercules movie that I saw, and now Hercules in New York, I get this movie a lot more than Legend of Hercules. I think that I can poke holes in the sound, I can poke holes in the fact that, there's a lot going on, but I felt bad for Arnie. Yeah, I really did. It's not his fault that this movie tanked. It's not his fault that the movie was not. I liked the dynamic between a lot of the characters, even though a lot of the scenes did linger a little bit too long. This could have been trimmed to be a 1 hour and 15-minute movie easily. But there was some good moments in this, and there were moments that, yeah, sure, I moaned out loud and did not feel that it was good, but it is an okay movie. It's a throwaway movie for sure. Definitely one well worth kicking off the season for. Hercules in New York. Definitely not something I'll return. Actually, you know what? If Hercules in New York is on, I wouldn't turn it off. I definitely wouldn't turn it off. It's not a movie that I would actively seek out again, but definitely not a movie I would turn off. And for that reason, I'm going to give Hercules in New York a 5 out of 10. I think that it's definitely a first movie, and it definitely is a ridiculous story. Like, who thought of this story? But it's an outrageous story that kind of doesn't make sense, but as the movie plays out, it kind of makes sense. And Arnold's doing his one-liners that he's also now famous for. You look at Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and they're all filled with one-liners that are ridiculous. And this movie is filled with them. Some of them you don't even actually hear, but that's part of the fun. You're like, what did he say? But in all seriousness, this movie has a lot of that for all the other characters. All the other characters have throwaway lines as well. And, you know, I did feel, again, poor Pretzi. Poor Pretzi. And, like Hercules just disappeared. Like, that. What is with that? And then that came down to earth, and Jesus, you know, ventured off into the sunset anyway. So the point of that is kind of mute anyway. So, but definitely a pass of a movie. It's a throwaway movie. If you don't think, then, you know, you've got it in the bag, you know. So for that, I'm going to give this movie a 5. It's a solid kickoff to a season of Terrible Tuesday Movie Night, and this is where the pass bar is. So anything that's below this, this is where the standard of season 2 of Terrible Tuesday Movie Night is, by the way. Decent acting with terrible execution, and don't even get me started on that one, whatever line that is not a guitar line, that annoying bling, 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 bling thing that keeps appearing every 5 fucking seconds in this movie is just atrocious. Atrocious, I tell you. Oh, anyway. 5. There you go. I had notes, but I ended up ranting anyway, so there you go. 5 out of 10 for Hercules in New York. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me on this first episode back of the rebooted Terrible Tuesday Movie Night. We've got 12, we got 11 more now of these episodes to come to you. We've got guests planned. Whether I can pull it off or not's another story. But again, thank you so much for everyone. You can support this and everything that I do over on my Patreon at patreon.com/Dale Campbell. It's patreon.com/Dale Campbell, DALECAMPBELL. Thank you so much for everyone who contributes over there. This literally wouldn't, this whole Dale Campbell experience, particularly the YouTube channel. I do have my own YouTube channel, Dale Campbell on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed or checked it out, please do so. This wouldn't be possible without you. Patreon.com/Dale Campbell. You can follow my many Instagram adventures as well over at Instagram.com/TheDale Campbell or at TheDale Campbell, TheDaleCampbell. You can go chat offline as well on our Discord at bit.ly/Dale Discord, DALEDISCORD, and you can buy some merch as well at bit.ly/GLS merch, that's GLSMERCH, and you can drop your feedback. Just put TTMN or Terrible Tuesday or Terrible Tuesday Movie Night in the subject line so I can find it and read it on a special episode of the show potentially in the future. CampbellDProductions@gmail.com, that is my email for everything Campbell D Productions. That's CAMPBELLD PRODUCITONS. I feel like I'm going to mess that up at some point throughout the season at gmail.com. Next week will be the hopefully first guested episode. We are watching 50 Shades of Black. Oof. The 50 Shades of Grey parody, which is a fan fiction of Twilight. So we're watching a parody of a fan fiction. That's going to go down well, isn't it? But until then, I've been Dale Campbell coming at ya. And until then, we'll see you then. Until then, we'll see you then. Until then, be safe and tune in and for the rest of the season as we've got great movies or greatly bad movies coming your way. Bye for now. Bye.